Landman Season 2 returns with Tommy Norris wealthier and more powerful than ever before, but not without twice the emotional baggage. The previous season concludes with the death of Monty Miller, an oil industry magnate and MTEX owner. Tommy is elevated to company president shortly before, and he takes over the reins alongside Cammy. However, with the cartel anxious to make its presence known, he must step carefully than ever before, or risk losing everything he has worked for. The opening episode of the second season, titled Death and Sunset, is suitably oriented on new beginnings, both for the patriarch and his two children, Cooper and Ainsley, who are gradually emerging out of their parents' shadows and creating their own unique footprint in the process. Tommy, on the other hand, is about to face a blast from the past that promises to complicate his life more than ever. Let's find out what happened in the episode. The Season 2 premiere of Landman begins with Tommy Norris admiring the Texas skyline ahead of yet another huge day in the oil sector. As the new president of MTEX, he is beginning to feel the pressure, especially as the cartel emerges from the shadows to demand a stake in the oil business. Meanwhile, his son Cooper awakens to one of the most crucial days of his life, but keeps the specifics a secret from Ariana before leaving. Cammy Miller, who recently became the sole owner of MTEX, following her husband Monty's death, hosts a luncheon for business partners and friends to finalize the succession process. However, the ambiance during the occasion is more tense and paranoid than she expected, as no one believes Monty's hole can be readily filled. Tommy hears murmurs about his business partner's worries, and soon he is approached by Danny, who cites a change in control clause in their contract and demands a structural revamp of the company. Tommy, on the other hand, is quick to point out that Monty promoted him to president before his death, implying that the promotion was natural evolution for the company. Despite Danny's attempts to escalate the disagreement by challenging Cammy's credibility, Tommy threatens to shut down the company until matters are resolved. Meanwhile, Cammy stands alone in the restroom, hands trembling as she reviews the speech she has prepared for the luncheon. When two females walk in and make comments about her age and appearance, Cammy responds only to be warned that the world she has just entered is like the Serengeti. This description sticks with Cammy and, coincidentally, gives her the motivation to discard the speech and speak from the heart. As she comes into a conference full of high-level investors and bankers, all seemingly eager to gouge out a piece of MTEX, Cammy takes the stage to proudly declare herself a hunter in sync with the oil industry's mentality. This speech is all it takes to change the room's sway, and Bob is among the first to give her a standing ovation. Meanwhile, Cooper checks in on the new oil well he recently scouted, and a large crew is ready to set up the rig. While the initial outpour leaves behind a pile of sludge and mud, Cooper refuses to give up and encourages his guys to go further. At around 5,000 feet, the pressure valve begins to violently tilt to its greatest levels, indicating that Cooper's intuition was correct. A deeper look reveals that the oil rig produces approximately 6,200 units, which roughly corresponds to 500 barrels per day, well above anyone's expectations. Cooper hurries back home to pick up Ariana and bring her to the rig, where he can barely contain his excitement. Angela and Ainsley go on their own voyage, leading them to the prestigious Texas Christian University, where she has been accepted. On the way to her daughter's admissions interview, Angela quizzes her on college trivia, such as the fact that the school's famed mascot, the horned toad, is actually a lizard. Ainsley is offered priority walk-on status because of her cheerleading skills, but her interview with the counselor does not go as planned. Tommy sits down with Cammy in her car on his way back from seeing his family to discuss the company's future and how it could be in better hands than before. In light of his promotion, Angela decides to go all out with a private jet to transport them to their destination. The picture then moves to Prairie View Assisted Living, an old-age institution where an elderly man watches the sunset. Despite being summoned inside for dinner by his caregivers, the guy, identified as TL, declines. At this time, one of the nurses tells him to calm down and rest because they have dreadful news. A woman named Dorothy, who was seemingly close to TL, has passed away, and the moment he hears the news, he slumps back into his wheelchair and demands euthanasia. Although Tommy is now wealthier than ever, he is easily irritated by the sudden surge in the family's spending. In instance, we learn that Angela and Tommy are in negotiations about purchasing a new home. And while Angela is excited about the prospect, Tommy is hesitant. In a bad faith maneuver, he falsely asserts that her menstrual cycle frequently influences her decision-making capacity, causing a significant gap in the family relations. As plates are thrown and shattered all over the room, Ainsley and Cooper flee for their lives, and Tommy narrowly avoids escalation by substituting his earlier words with flirtatious remarks. The deception succeeds, and the couple almost becomes intimate, until a phone call alters the tone once more. Tommy tells that his mother has died, implying that the woman described previously, Dorothy, was his mother. This also raises issues about where TL fits into the picture, with the most likely answer being that he is Tommy's father. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.